Hi, I'm Jim Porter, and you're watching Skeptical Spectrum. Today's video is The Only Way to Morality. I believe that religion has long been a method of explaining the world and a guide for working in groups and communities. The problem with religion, however, is that it usually requires faith, and in this context, I believe that faith means unchallenged beliefs and unverified beliefs. What you believe in may be true, even if you don't have evidence for it, and even if you haven't tested it. It might be true just out of chance, but that is not satisfactory because it also may be false. In fact, I assert that unchallenged or unsupported beliefs are more likely than not to be wrong. So we should all crave challenges to our beliefs and seek processes that can just as likely destroy our beliefs as confirm them. I believe that the belief in the supernatural is not well verified and that the existence of deities doesn't have support. However, the existence of deities has been used for centuries to explain why moral rules exist. Moral rules tend to come with a strong feeling that they just are, that they never change, that they exist somewhere outside of ourselves, and that they are the same everywhere we go. We see that different communities have similar morals across the planet. However, we also see variations in moral beliefs across the world. Some of the differences bother us so much that we're willing to go to war over the differences or to write off entire cultures, even cultures within our own countries, if their moral beliefs are just a little bit different. Also, there is the problem of people believing that there is a personal, infallible source of morals, a deity or a set of deities who dictate what's right and what's wrong. And a deity oftentimes is someone with whom you can't possibly disagree because the deity is always right. Some people believe in infallible gods, and some people believe in a single fallible God that created, infallible God that created a perfect morality for us to follow. Well, I don't believe in any deity, but I do believe that morals are real in a sense. But I don't believe in a deity. How is that possible? Because I have a better idea about what the real source of morality is. And it's not a God, it's us. By us, I mean humans mostly, but there is evidence that other species have moral concepts. Now, in my view, all morals are constructed by organisms who can think and feel. I will call these organisms sentient beings. We humans are sentient beings. But I did forget one thing. Not only does morality require sentience in the beings that create the morals, it requires the beings to be social. Humans are sentient social animals. This means we cannot help but create morals. It's not a voluntary process at base. Because of the fact that we rely on each other for survival, and that our emotions are what drive our behaviors and color our thoughts, and that it is our thoughts that conceive of safety and danger and what preserves the community that keeps us safe, and what behaviors we need to engage in to stay in favor with our community, we developed systems of morality out of sheer impulse not to be screwed. That's it, not to be screwed. That is the only reason morality exists. We feel comfortable with certain things and we feel uncomfortable with other situations. However, our moral rules aren't hardwired into our DNA or anything like that. They are created and edited over and over again throughout the centuries as we notice circumstances changing. We just create and change moral rules out of sheer impulse. So, religions have been the home for moral making in many societies for much of human existence because we carry morals within us. They are everywhere we go, This gives us the impression that morals just exist everywhere, independent of us. That is ironic as hell. The problem is that if you believe that morals exist independently of us, you will think also that it is not our business to create morals, but to just acknowledge the true morals that exist universally. But if they exist outside of us and are the same everywhere, what must be the source? Well, that's one reason people created the concept of a god or gods. They understand that it had to be a conscious being or conscious beings, but they didn't recognize that those conscious beings are us. We feel our morals as real everywhere we go, not because they are out there in the atmosphere or permeating space, but because we are everywhere we go. What we feel bad about, we tend to call bad or evil. What we feel good about, we tend to call good or moral. And that, again, is it. There are no real morals anywhere, actually. We can change them anytime we want, but we don't. We tend to complicate how we create our laws and moral rules. That's because historically we've thought of morals as being about rights, justice, or freedom, or a whole host of concepts that are created from the urge to determine how best to treat each other. And it would be so much easier if some perfect being just handed down all the perfect rules for life, but there doesn't seem to be one. And the illusion that that is what is happening messes us up in our effort to create a better world for each other. The problem is that these concepts all fail us at some point and contradict each other, making us confused and postponing the improvement of our overall quality of life across the planet. This is tragic because we are the source of all morality, and there is a philosophy to guide us concretely in creating a moral structure that actually works. It's called hedonic utilitarianism, which a lot of people don't like, and I'll explain that later. But my version allows you to add a warmer flavor to the seemingly dry process that is hedonic utilitarianism, and I'll define hedonic utilitarianism. Nothing matters on earth as much as how we feel. However, our feelings are dependent on the feelings of others. When we feel terrible, well, we feel terrible when we see other people suffering. This moral impulse will not go away anytime within the next few million years. So the word hedonic means pleasure related. The word utilitarian means to benefit most people. And this is where I introduce to you the only religion, so to speak, that can maximize life for you and everyone else. It is called Portarian secular Buddhism. It's called Portarian after me because I think many Buddhists, including secular Buddhists, would have some squeamishness about utilitarianism and some of my other thoughts on Buddhism. Many people believe that utilitarianism allows us to sacrifice some people for the benefit of other people. My version doesn't. It's called secular because it doesn't presume that there is a God or gods required to come up with the answer to the question, what's the best way for individuals and societies to behave? It's called Buddhist because I've heard the Dalai Lama and other self identified Buddhists say that the one rule that guides all rules is compassion. Compassion is the sincere urge to alleviate the suffering of others, mixed in with the feeling pained about their suffering. This is the utilitarianism that doesn't allow us to improve our lives at the expense of others. And that's because it acknowledges that we feel pain knowing there are people somewhere suffering. We also don't want to improve other people's lives at our own expense, except we are willing to do so to some reasonable degree. This process of balancing how we treat others, hope they treat us, and how we look out for our own needs is usually happening unconsciously, way down here somewhere. We don't acknowledge that it is our pain and pleasure feelings that drive us to want to make other people's and our own lives better. We just scream about rights and commandments and justice. Portarian secular Buddhism just gives us permission to do all of this intentionally. It is to acknowledge that the amelioration of suffering and the maximization of pleasure is all we seek for ourselves and all that we can do for others. So, in summary, I will say one, morality doesn't exist outside of sentient organisms. We are sentient organisms. Two, sentient means the ability to think and feel. Three, realizing this means we can start actually creating a moral structure that is good for us and as many other people as possible with clear heads, unclouded by the concept of a dictated absolute set of rules from the universe. The reason I call it Buddhism is because some Buddhist groups believe that our priority in life is to ameliorate the suffering of all sentient beings. I call it Portarian secular Buddhism because others might think of Buddhism in a different way than I do. And that is my presentation for today. I sincerely believe this will catch on because I didn't really make it up. A lot of people are probably way ahead of me on this, and I realize I could be wrong. Please put comments down in the comments, like, subscribe, hit that bell that everybody talks about, and I thank you just for sitting through this much of my presentation. Bye-bye.